24 hours ago, the entire crypto market looked completely different. Today, we could see that the market is bouncing back in a big way, and this is why I tried to stress it as much as possible. Wait until the market opens on Tuesday. And this is exactly why, because if you were looking at the market all throughout the weekend, you were probably a little bit concerned, maybe even a little bit worried, and that's okay. But the main thing is this is why we wait for the stock market to open to give us clear confirmation of what's going to happen next. And we knew going into Tuesday, the market was already looking a little good on a strong reversal. And we got that today, which is why we are in a sea of green. We could see XLM up about 2.6%. HBAR is up as well, 3.4%. We see a lot of altcoins that are up in a big way. Today's biggest mover, I think, around the portfolio is probably Ondo, up about 7.8%. XRP up about 2.8%, nothing too crazy there. A lot of shallow gains, but there's also some outliers here that are gaining quite a bit on the daily. And then also on the weekly, we could see that the weekly is starting to turn green. We have a few outliers here that are up 30+%, which is good to see. And we're just waiting for a lot of the altcoin market to really flip green on the weekly because, HBAR is still down about 8%. Ethereum is down 5.5% on the weekly as well. XLM down 6.4%. And then also XRP. I'm trying to find it on the list here. Can't really find it. It might be one of these smaller ones, but I do know on the weekly, XRP is down about 5.3%. So we still need to see some bounces across the board. I would like to see a lot of these altcoins flip green on the weekly, but for the most part, pretty good day for crypto. Bitcoin back above $111,000. Ethereum still hovering around $4,300. Nothing too crazy on the daily. XRP up 2.8% on the daily, sitting at about $2.83. And then also, the rest of the altcoin market still up pretty good on the daily. We could just see it going off of the daily gains here, that most of it is, single digit gains, but it's a nice reversal. It's a nice bounce in the market. Now is the best time to lock in with ITrustCapital, where you could tap into their Roth IRA crypto designed platform or even their premium custody account that allows you to hold crypto safely and soundly. You never have to worry about if your crypto is going to disappear overnight because this is a closed loop system. Assets are held one-to-one off balance sheet, US-based live client service, institutional custody, tax reporting, and 24/7, 365 buying and selling. I personally love the Roth IRA side of their platform. It's incredible, especially for tax-advantaged trading as well as holding crypto. If you guys do want to tap into this, you guys are more than welcome to utilizing my link down in the description below and my promo code as well, where you deposit $1,000 and they give you an additional $100 funding bonus. What are you guys waiting for? Sign up today. You won't regret it. If we're looking at the total crypto market cap, we could see that we did hit a low of 3.72 trillion. We are now hovering around 3.84 trillion as well. This is a very solid bounce. I would like to see this continue. Again, we're not out of the woods yet. We still need to be patient here because we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. But fear and greed back to neutral. We're starting to see this bounce a little bit as well. We're still hovering here right around those June lows as well, which again, if we're thinking about that with how the market looks and even outside of this market, it kind of feels as if we should be, trading a little bit higher for, fear and greed. But, fear is definitely still out there, which is getting me very, very bullish on how this market will recover the rest of this week. We still need to watch just how stocks perform throughout the week. But it looks as though it's going to be a pretty good week for crypto. I mean, stocks right now, if we're looking at stocks, this is how stocks opened. It opened around like roughly, 63, 62. And then we're trading back to 64.15 by the close. And we now have a gap here that will most likely get filled on the open. So I'm expecting like the mid 6,400 region to be tapped here, which could lead into us potentially, just breaking out. It kind of goes back here to like the beginning of August where we had this nice gap here that we completely filled on the August 4th candle. And then after that, we just continued to surge to new all-time highs before having an initial sell-off. And then we continued all the way into the end of August. So I'm still definitely watching stocks to just kind of continue pumping for the rest of this week into, of course, the FOMC meeting, which is in the middle of the week or in middle of the month, which is around September 17th. Which we'll focus on that as time gets closer. But it feels as though we're going to get our first rate cut in, on the 17th. So very excited about that. Now, in terms of Bitcoin, this is what the 7-day span looks like. This is what the monthly looks like. We still have some work to do here. I would love to see us flip that mid-range level around like 112.5K. We're looking at Bitcoin right now. We are in that red zone, right? I told you guys that this needs to be flipped. So although, yes, this is a great reversal, this is a great initial sign that, Bitcoin is gaining some strength here. We did flip the initial support around 110K. This was a big level. We also flipped those highs going back to June. We need to flip the highs going all the way back to May. And that's exactly what we hit on this candle here and also on the second, September 2nd candle. I know that, this is basically a new daily candle. We're still in technically the second until this video does go live. But, if we're looking at this, we want to really see a big flip over 114K. That will be the big signal that we are going much higher, because that will create a higher high on the lower time frame structure, and it will allow us to target the August 22nd candle around 117 almost 4K. So definitely watching closely for what type of reaction we get, getting closer to the open today or tomorrow, if you want to look at it like that. But, I'm still waiting on a much larger reaction on Bitcoin. Right now, I'm not dead set on this being our bottom and this being our reversal, because this is still technically a lower high. We still have these lower lows. We're just waiting for something to change here on structure. So currently, it's a good initial sign of strength, but we need a little bit more. In terms of Ethereum, again, Ethereum is kind of in the same boat here, where, we're still hopeful that this higher low is going to hold, but we're not dead set on it yet, because we still need a higher high on even the lower time frame structure, which means we want to break over the candle. It's technically the August 31st candle around like 4,500. That will be a great start, but we still have a lot of work to do here on Ethereum as well. So, I'm hopeful that this level is going to be, hold or held around like 4,200, almost 40. It's like 4,161 to almost 4,400. If we can maintain this zone here as our lows, then that higher low will be, held, and then we could look for higher highs, which will be bullish structure. But if we lose this level and we really target these August 19th and August 20th candles, then that will completely flip structure into bearish structure, which is not a good sign for the market. So I'm just definitely watching Ethereum a little bit more closely this week. And then with XRP, very good sign initially on XRP as well, but you guys can see it here, firsthand, that we are finding a resistance right around $2.86. And this is not, very bullish. This is not a good, signal that, oh, hey, XRP is going to continue going up from here. No, we need to see a little bit more, action here. We need to see a lot more volume. We need to see a bigger impulsive move on XRP to really confirm that this was our bottom on XRP. So right now, don't get too far ahead of yourselves. Don't get too impulsive here. Just be a little bit more patient. We do have a lot of things happening around the market that's going to support a further push to the upside. Right off the rip, we have the CFTC and the SEC issuing a joint staff statement under Project Crypto. This is the Crypto Sprint, outlining coordination efforts to enable trading of certain spot crypto asset products and provide regulatory clarity for exchanges as well. This is a big one. I believe that this was with the recent update that we got from Hester Pierce as well. But this is definitely a big one. And it also shows us that the SEC and the CFTC are joining, this fight together to make sure that crypto gets proper regulations and proper clarity, which is also going to unlock a ton of new capital for the space. It's going to provide that clarity that we've been asking for so long. And I just think that this is going to bring in a lot more liquidity to support a much larger push to the upside as well. So very excited about this. This is very good news. And then also on top of that, we do have Jim Cramer saying that September is seasonally weak. We have some inflation numbers and a potentially tough labor number. But this presidency can defy any seasonality, so I wouldn't bet on the calendar. However, he is still saying that September is typically a very weak month. And if we are looking at history, it technically is. But, with Jim Cramer saying this, with what we have in front of us around September, I still think that this is going to be a very bullish month, which is why, right now I'm definitely focused on the charts. We still need a little bit more on the charts. But I still think that we go much higher towards the end of this month, especially with that, FOMC meeting upcoming, because we just got a big update on CME Group. The probability of a rate cut did jump to 92%. We are about 15 days out. If we're looking at this, about 14 days, 16 hours. By the time that this video goes live, it's going to be a little bit less in terms of these hours, but we are about 2 weeks out from the FOMC meeting. And yeah, the probability here is 91.7%. This has been fluctuating quite a bit, but the fact that we are at almost 92%, and it is September 3rd at this point, it's very good signs that we're going to get that rate cut. And then also in October, 96% chance, and then December, 99.2% chance. It feels as though we could have back-to-back rate cuts. November is going to be that outlier a month, but I still think that November is going to be pretty good. I just am betting on a very good fourth quarter at this point for, crypto, and also for traditional stocks, right? If we're thinking about the traditional markets, we know that the gold market has been very good. Silver's been going crazy. Stocks have been going crazy. It's only a matter of time until we start to see crypto really play the catch-up game, which is why, right now we're still locked in on these charts. I'm not expecting extreme pain at this point. I'm expecting us to have a major reversal, and it all really starts with what the Fed does. Now, if we're going over here, we have from Ted Pillow, September 2024, Fed cut rates and altcoin market cap pumped 109% in just 3 months. After that, Bitcoin dumped 30% while alts crashed 60 to 80%, September 2025. The Fed is cutting rates again and committing to doing more cuts. It seems like history will repeat itself again. First a pump for 1 to 2 months and then a major crash. Now, again, I don't know if we are going to see a complete repeat of history, because if we're thinking about patterns and things like that, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. We've talked about this on many occasions. So, it could definitely have very similar effects on the market, but I'm more so looking at this and comparing it to previous cycles where it kind of feels as though we're following that 2017, 2018 pattern. Now, we could pump beyond January with a potential top being around like the end of January, beginning of February. I think that that's a safe bet. Could we, pump a little bit longer? Sure, we can. But the main thing that we're looking at is just locking in some profits when they start to hit the market in a big way. We look at emotions as well. I do think that euphoria will probably hit the market towards the end of this year, because the market, in my opinion, is going to cook much, much more. And especially if we get rate cuts. If we get rate cuts and the market pumps over 100% from where we're at now, that means almost a $2 trillion market cap for altcoins. We will probably see roughly like a $6 to $7 trillion market cap for crypto itself. So, I do think that that will lead to euphoria. I think that that will lead to some crazy price action. And if we're thinking about the altcoin market, I know that a lot of people have been waiting on altcoins to go crazy. Listen, it's very simple to look at. Altcoins have been extremely oversold. I saw this post come up earlier today on my timeline. It is from the 30th, but it is still standing today. Altcoins are now the most oversold ever. Even during the COVID crash, FTX collapse, or tariff wars, they weren't this oversold. Mega alt season like 2017 and 2021 is coming. We get this opportunity once every 4 years, so please don't waste it by giving up now or selling early. Now, you might be looking at this and saying, well, Nick, the chart is not even at all-time lows. It's not the top chart that we're worried about. It's the RSI on the bottom, which the RSI tells us if it's oversold or overbought. Right now, if you actually look at the bottom, it is in the red zone at about 27.75. Today, it's a little bit higher, but still, we are extremely oversold on altcoins. Altcoins have been devastating for most people that have been holding them, which is why a lot of people are very frustrated or negative at this time. But this is typically what we see right before the largest move in the market happens for altcoins. And we could see that even going back to 2021, right? We could see the RSI dipping down to like the bottom line right before we hit the this is like the overbought area back in like late 2021 or like the middle of 2021, which also aligns with a lot of altcoins like even XRP topping around like the April-May timeframe. So that's what we're watching right now when it comes to others, right? We're waiting for altcoins to really bounce back off of those lows to get back into overbought territory, which will be like towards the middle to the end of alt season anyways. So currently speaking, I do think that altcoins are going to wake up in a big way. I think that the market's going to probably continue reversing at this point. The question is, do we are we already bottomed out, or did we bottom out this week and then start a reversal next week? That's a big question, and it's a question that we don't have the answer to just yet, but so far it looks pretty good here on Bitcoin. We just need to reclaim some key levels, and the first level that we're looking at is those May highs. If we can manage to get a daily close over 112K on Bitcoin, I would be dead set on us having a much larger move on the chart. But right now we're finding some resistance. It's very clear on Bitcoin. On Ethereum, Ethereum is still looking pretty weak here on the daily chart, and then XRP is also finding resistance here. So I would just be patient a little bit more. Don't get too bullish. Don't get too far ahead of ourselves. But I do think that a much larger reversal is coming. We just have to be a little bit more patient this week. I still think that September is going to be a very, very good month for not just, crypto, but also stocks and, the rest of the markets. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.